Hey, beautiful people, I pass. Hey, you're looking at the number one international driver. I passed my practical driving test on Monday, which was 2 days ago, and I am so excited. I can't put into words how I feel, but just know that I feel relieved. So I'm just going to do a bit of a story time, and just give tips and tricks on how to pass your test, right? So I started learning to drive here in the UK last year, October. I wasn't very consistent, right? I was doing on and off. But for the most part, I was doing lessons once a week, which was Saturday mornings. My instructor will come and pick me up. So I did have an instructor, right? So I would advise, please do get an instructor unless, maybe your spouse or your partner or you have a family or friend who has been driving in the UK for quite some time and they are happy to help you through, right? But I did get an instructor and he will come and pick me up every Saturday and then we'll go for 1 hour, drive around town. Not really around town. So you choose a route, right? You choose a driving test center and then you drive the route. So I chose Chilwell. Here in Nottingham, we have two major centers. We have a couple more, but two major ones, Colwick and Chilwell. I hope I'm pronouncing them right. But I chose the Chilwell one at first and then we'll go around that route. At that point in time, October, I was pregnant, right? So I found out I was pregnant in, I think, April of 2024. So October, I was, somewhat pregnant and it wasn't very easy. It wasn't very, very easy for me. I think I was just leaving my first trimester or heading into the second trimester or something. So, morning sickness and everything, it was not easy. So those classes were very inconsistent. I will go this week. I will take like 2 weeks break and then resume again. My instructor quite understood, right? Because of my condition, obviously. So at some point, we tried to intensify the classes. I think this was towards December. I was very eager to get the test out of the way before the baby comes. So I initially got a test date for March. My baby was due in February and I got a test date for March. But I was like, you know what? Let me bring this test forward. I'm ready to do it. I want to do it before the baby comes. So I went for the first test. Everything was going fine and smooth. Like that drive was just excellent. The examiner was, very chill guy. Young guy, I think around my age bracket anyways. And we just got on chatting and he was curious about my baby. Oh, do I know what gender I'm having? All of that. It was a friendly conversation, Towards the end of the test, like 3 minutes before the end of the test. In fact, I felt I was so confident on that test because I felt I had done really well. The drive was smooth. 3 minutes to the end of the test, like I can see the junction where we are turning into the test center. He tells me to take a turn. I think I misunderstand him, and instead of me to ask again to be very sure of what he said, I just went with the flow and then he had to interfere, dragged my steering the other way. In that moment, God, my spirit just sank. I knew I had failed because I know that once they interfere in your driving, I've seen some people on like Reddit, because I read Reddit a lot, and I've seen some people say that, even sometimes when they interfere, they still end up giving you a pass, right? But that was even recently that I saw all of that. But before that, I just knew that if the examiner should interfere in your driving, you forget about it. It's done. You are done for. My heart sank immediately. We got to the test center. He was like, oh, I just want to tell you that you have failed. I hope you do understand. I'm so sorry. He was very apologetic, because overall, like I said, the drive was very good. He said, oh, the drive was good. It was just that towards the end, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, no, voila. We go again. I get down. My husband sees me. He knows immediately because my face is already a certain way. Okay, we go home. I have to wait a couple of days, right, before I book the next test. I shall book the next one. As I booked the next one, I think I got the next one like 10 days later. Still in the same January. So I think around January 28th or so. So the first one was 7th of January. The second one. The second one was around 28th of January. So I now, on that day, I went for the test as usual. This time I was feeling a bit more confident. Between 7th and 28th, I did not practice at all. Oh. I did not go anywhere. I did not drive the test route. I was just at home. I was like, I beg. The first one went smoothly. It's not that big of a deal. I'll be able to do it. I got into the car and then the examiner sat down and he was like, do you have an extra mirror? Because they will always get you either have to bring an extra mirror. Sometimes they have one. And I was like, no, I don't have an extra mirror. Next thing he said was unprovoked. So he just said, why won't you have an extra mirror? What if you come back to do the test again? Hey, as soon as I heard that, I knew that no, I don't think I'm going to pass this one, because this man has already told me with his own mouth that what if I come back again to do the test? Why won't I have another mirror? That's how we've not even driven out of the test center. This man has started, they have this notepad. This man has started marking in his notepad. I don't know what he was serious, marking things in his notepad. I was so nervous. I could not put my nerves under control. I was making one mistake after another. Like, I don't even drive like that on a normal day. That was not me. I don't know what happened. I don't know what took over me. I don't know if it was the initial conversation that we had. It quite threw me off. And then I was heavily pregnant, right? So I think I was 38 weeks or 39 weeks at that point. So the whole thing did not just go well. I don't even know. The previous one I had just, I think, 3 minors and then that major fail. This one, I did not even count the number of minors I had, because I'm sure that they were about 10. I didn't even look at the results. When we got back, I was eager for him to even tell me I had failed, because I knew if he had told me I had passed, I would have been too shocked, because I was certain that one I had failed. So I went off. After he said I had failed, there was no problem. I went, I was very sad. My husband too was sad. He was like, because he saw, the effort that I had put, even though I didn't go out to drive. I was watching YouTube videos at home on the route and everything. Anyways, I sure forgot about it. I had my baby. I rested well. Then I told myself, okay. When it was May of this year, 2025, I told myself I only have 1 year left before my theory certificate will expire. So you had better start going for driving test now. So in case you want to fail like 3 more times, you will have enough chance. And because getting a new test date now became ridiculously hard. Previously I got 7th, then I got 28th. This time around, I could not get any date. The only date I was able to get was for September 27 or 28 or thereabouts. And then, from May this year, I said, let me look for another instructor. This time around, I want to try the different test center, Colwick. A couple of my friends have been telling me that, Colwick is around the area where I live. So, some of the routes will be more familiar than going to Chilwell, which is on the other side of town where I don't live. So I should stay in the place where the routes are more familiar, because when they take me past those routes, it will be places that, maybe my husband has driven past. We have seen before. Or even if I take a cab, the taxi would have passed. So they'll be more familiar than going to a place where, you are not just conversant with. So I think that was another thing that helped. Well, let me finish the story, then I'll go into the tips so that I don't mix and match it. Anyways, I chose Colwick, and then I found an instructor. My neighbor introduced somebody to me, and then, he started taking me for lessons. On the first drive that he told me, Okwani, you're an excellent driver. And if you get a test for August, I'm happy to take you, right? So I started looking from May. But anyways, I settled on like an instructor. This was in July, right? And he told me, Okwani, if you find a test for August or even this July, I am going to take you for a test. I was so surprised. I was like, I told him about my test results. He was like, no, from the drive he just took me today, I'm ready to pass my tests. I just need to be nice and calm. I followed all my signs correctly. I just hesitate a little bit sometimes when I want to turn and do certain things, which is not a bad thing, but sometimes hesitation, I can be marked down for it, especially if I start causing traffic and a couple more things, right? So we'll just walk on that path. But he was like, from what he can see, I'm a good driver. What country have I been driving? I was like, Nigeria. He was like, oh, wow, blah, blah, blah. So he was very impressed. And, because I had done this test, like how many times, I had already lost like some faith in myself. And I didn't quite understand what was going on. But he really, those words to me really were very, I don't want to use the word powerful, but it just gave me some form of courage, And when I got down from the car, I told my husband, I was like, my instructor said my driving was wonderful, blah, blah, blah. So let me give it a go. So we started he said to look for a cancellation. So I started looking for a cancellation. I paid for one, not really an app. It was like on a website. So those ones went about doing their work. I had paid for early August, though, but they didn't find a date till this September, 8th of September for me in the morning. I think 9:30 something or 9:54 thereabouts was my test time. But anyways, back to the story. So sometime in August, the kids went on holiday, and then I became overwhelmed. Me and my husband and the 3 of them. My mom had gone back in June. So I was very overwhelmed, and I had to call my instructor and tell him, you know what, I need to take a break. I can't. I can't. I have a lot going on for me. I want to rest as much as I can before school resumes. And he was like, oh, he completely understands. So I think for that, even about 3 weeks in August, I did not even do any lesson because he was also traveling. So he had a holiday books. My instructor had a holiday books and he was traveling. So when I messaged him, I think 3rd week in August, he had gone for his trip already. I have seen a test date for the 8th of September. Should I take it? He was like, yes. Okay. So I picked 8th of September. And then he said, when he comes on the Friday before the 8th, I can't remember the dates. Maybe I think it was the 5th or the 6th. We'll do a lesson, 1 hour lesson. And then he will tell me if I need extra lessons. Remember when I'm like, how will you do lesson Friday and then test is on Monday? Like, how many lessons are we going to squeeze? Anyways, I just believed him, Sha, and said, okay, no problem. I paid him for the lesson for Friday. He came, we drove, and then we got back and he told me, Okwani, I think you are ready for your tests. You know when somebody believes in you so much, like you don't even now really believe in yourself. It's not that I cannot drive. Like I said, I've been driving in Lagos for the longest while. I would drive from Island to the mainland, Agric or Joy, Yanoba side, confidently, right? But I don't just on that. I think it was just those two feels that were just in my head, and I was like, maybe there's something wrong with my drive. But he just kept telling me, Okwani, you are ready. Okwani, like everything is okay. Okwani, the confidence he had in me, like I definitely did not have it in myself. So that Friday was like, oh, I don't think there's need for any more tests. You are ready. The only thing we're going to do is that 1 hour before your test, we're going to drive around the routes just so you know the driving is already in your system and everything just flows nicely. And then we go ahead and do the 1 hour on the day of the driving, and then I get to the center. He says I should park. I park, we get down. The examiner comes out, he introduces himself and all of that. Felicitations. He's a very friendly guy, old man. I don't mean old man like that, but he was elderly. He's not my mate at all. Like he's maybe my mommy's mate or something, or my daddy's mate. So he's an elderly man. And then he came out, and he was very nice, very friendly. Explained all the explanation. And then we came out. They gave me my show me, tell me questions. We got done with all the songs, and then he was like, okay, enter the car. And then we entered the car. And then he said, okay, set off when you're ready. And then we got off. I started driving. I remembered all the things my instructor used to tell me. Okwani, nice and calm. That anytime I get to any roundabout, I would just say nice and calm. I think the examiner too was even listening to me, because the number of times I said nice and calm. Hey, my God. The number of times I said nice and calm. Even yourself got tired for me. I kept saying nice and calm. Okwani, nice and calm. Nice and calm. You say park on this side, I will park. So for my maneuvers, he gave me park on the right side and then reverse 2 car lengths, which I did. I even like reversing. I feel like reversing is one of my favorite things for doing the car. I really enjoy reversing into places. And that's why my reverse bay parking, like I always got it spot on. One time or at most, park out and then adjust my hand, I would just get it. But you see, front bay, it wasn't as if it was front bay that I did not quite understand. Even when it just looks like it's direct. But I enjoy reversing cars. So I was very happy when he said, park on the right and reverse 2 car lengths. I was so excited. I did it and he was like, okay, that's good. You can stop. Let's set off. We set off again. So we got to one small street and then the man told me, I'm going to ask you to do an emergency stop. I've never practiced emergency stop before. I've only watched it in, YouTube videos, or I don't know. I shall understand the theory concept of it, that when people say do emergency stop, all you need to do is slam the brake as quickly as possible, but quick and firm, right? One stop. And then when you are done, do your observations and then move off safely, right? So when he told me he was going to tell me, do me an emergency stop, hey, God, my heart already came down. I said, my God, in heaven, no, where am I going to start from? But I was like, okay, don't panic. But I thought if they give you one maneuver, they will not give you another one again. Is emergency stop not part of the maneuvers? Anyways, those were all the questions in my head. I was still driving. And that's when he does his hand like this, I should stop. I should not do it before he does his hand like that, but he will look in the mirrors and make sure he's safe. So I should just go ahead and do it. I said, okay, no problem. He said, start driving when you're ready. I drove. Next thing he did like this. Hey, I slam brake. Slam brake. I don't know whether he did okay or not, but apparently what I did was very perfect. We stopped and then he said, okay, you can go off. And then I did my mirror. The mirror checking that I checked that day, guys. When I said they do my neck. Turning my neck, left, right, and center, left, right, and center. I don't even think I did all those dramatics for my first and second test. I was just looking up. This time around there, in fact, sometimes I will even tell him, oh, I know I just look, but I just put in my break, so I want to just look. I will look. I made sure he knew that I was looking, right? So we started heading back. When I saw Colwick as one of the street signs, I knew we were heading back to the test center. Go back to the test center. We said park. Like, even if I don't park inside the B, I should just park anywhere, and then the test is over. So I parked, and then he now said, do you want your instructor here? He had asked me before we started, do I want my instructor for my result? I said yes. So my instructor came out and said he's happy to say that I passed, and it was a wonderful drive, and I only got one minor. One minor, guys, can you imagine? And that minor was for judgments. I don't even know where. I did not judge right, but I don't know. It don't even concern me. Like, even if I had 11 minors, so far I passed. That was all that I was happy to hear. He said I passed. I was so excited. God, guys, my joy knew no bounds. And I'm just saying all of this story just to encourage anybody that, just keep at it. Keep at it. It's not over till it's over. It's not over till you pass it, right? It took me 3 attempts and a change of test center. And I'm going to do another video where I'll just give you guys tips and tricks to pass your test. What I learned between these 3. I just wanted to do a story time first, right? I don't want to mix the 2 together so this video doesn't get any longer. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed my story time. And, if you have any updates about or any story you want to tell us about your own driving test, please do leave it down in the comment section. I'll be happy to hear it. Till next time, guys, I'll do the video on the tips after this one. Love you guys. Bye.